Greetings. Hey, it's Susie Q. Oh, goodness gracious. We are now working on a new series. It's called The Heart of the Matter. And this is a tribute to Don Henley, who wrote the lyrics of a song called The Heart of the Matter. And as I just left Traction 41 Questions, I knew that a new topic would come up that would be really juicy and groovy. And so the heart of the matter, forgiveness, is this next series. And I don't have the number of questions. I don't have any of that. So it appears that the information will be flowing in organically. And I am down with that because it's juicy and I never know what's going to come in. And I had a muse this morning, a beautiful muse, Rosie, and she's listening to my stuff, which thank you, Rosie, for doing that. And I was asking her what would be most relevant in this time for her. And so we came up with the idea of forgiveness. And what's awesome about forgiveness is I've been having some personal resentment in my own field. I know you're thinking, why is that? Well, things come up and we think that we have forgiven or we think that we have moved through a process. And then you notice that when you talk about it or when you're, sharing what happened, you're still in resentment and there's a place for forgiveness. So this, I'm really thankful for Rosie for suggesting this podcast series. Again, it's going to be The Heart of the Matter, and it's on forgiveness. And I wanted just to read a little bit of the lyrics here from Don Henley. I'm learning to live without you now, but I miss you sometimes. The more I know, the less I understand. All the things I thought I knew, I'm learning again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore. Whew. I'd like to read all the lyrics, but that kind of gives you a perspective on what Don Henley was writing here about forgiveness. And so we're really going to be tackling forgiveness probably for the next, I don't know how long. It just seems like this is an opportunity to really dive in with, forgiveness and who might it be that forgiveness is directed to. And I know many of you already know this, that when you are in a position of extending forgiveness to another, it has more to do with you than the other person. And I've mentioned this before, but there's been examples where, like, if you go to a person, you knock on the door, and they answer, like, hi, I'm like, hi. And then you say, I really apologize for doing this to you, or whatever. Then they might go, I don't remember any of that happening. Okay, so there's some opportunities here that a forgiveness practice for another person is just a silent forgiveness, a blessing, a prayer, lifting up out of your body field and out of your field entirely and just lifting it out and sending it to the light or transmuting it into a new flower or a new star system. I don't know. And then also the idea about forgiveness is really looking at your own self and, just really being in a heart-centered space and looking at your own self and seeing if there's some places where there might be some forgiveness for some of your actions that you've done to your own self. And it might be, I forgive myself for, for not working out as much as I should, not being physically active in my body. I forgive myself for not paying attention to the body when I've been getting messages to make a change or do something different. I forgive myself for forgetting to love myself all the time. I do it sometimes, but noting that I don't do it all the time, and I forgive myself for not loving myself. And also, I forgive myself for not loving myself as I am right now. Another forgiveness of self might be, I forgive myself for forgetting the truth of who I am, forgetting the truth of the soul aspect of who I am. So you could go through all of these different things, but the forgiveness and that those feelings of resentment are almost like decay of this on the cellular level. So if we are holding any resentment or any places where forgiveness is required, do note that as that is festering, it's almost like a blister that's festering and can't heal. I know that sounds creepy. It comes down and it reduces to the simplest and smallest particle of who we are, which is inside of our body. So as you're holding on to resentment, if you're not able to let go of and release different things that show up into your field regarding resentment or regarding things you've been holding on to that you can't let go of, somebody hurt you so badly that you just can't let it go, that starts showing up inside of your body. So even though it seems like, well, they did something bad, well, what happens is as you continually do a rewind on the story, or rewind on that feeling tone, or rewind on just impressions that come in from an event where you felt you were really harmed, the more that you go over it and over it again, it begins to shape your body, shape your thoughts, shape your heart, shape what you extend out and expand out into the world. So this feeling of forgiveness, the heart of the matter, again, that comes right to the heart space, and really beginning from that place. So it's not so much working from the mind here, but it's really being really grounded and rooted here at the area of the heart of the matter. So, with that being said, this feels pretty juicy. The heart of the matter. What would it be like for you if you were able to change some of your beliefs about things that you feel were done that were wrong to you, or things that you did to yourself that you feel were wrong to you? Would you be able to release all of those notions, all of those memories, all of those narratives, stories, conditioning, programming, vows from this lifetime, vows from another lifetime? Would you be able to release? And what would it be like if you were able to lighten your load by simply letting go, simply going into a simple forgiveness practice and allowing it to be stated that it is forgiven, and release it, and then just imagining that you have something in your hand. It could be a feather, or I love feathers. Could be a stack of feathers, and as soon as you have this experience of letting go, releasing, disavowing, setting aside any programs, any early programming or conditioning or limited thought beliefs or negative thought beliefs, erroneous thought beliefs, beliefs that aren't even yours, however, somehow they came into your field and you just claim them as your own. What if you were able to let go of all of that, release that, and then watch those feathers fly all the way up and up and up and up and up, and then the load gets much lighter there for you. And as you are able to release and let go through forgiveness practices and through letting go, do note that your little team inside of you, those beautiful cells inside of you, are doing the happy dance. Because the moment that you're able to let go and free these things from inside of you, this includes me too, big time. I've had some recent triggers. I'm just like everybody else. So when Rosie said do a forgiveness series, I thought this is perfect timing. I mean, just she's spot on with where I'm at. So really looking at your life and looking at the patterns or these loops where you find yourself, you're doing pretty good, then all of a sudden you go back into this loop that you're like, man, I think I remember doing this when I was 5, and then 10, and then 9, and then 24, and then 500 years old. When I was 500 years old, I was still doing the things I did when I was 2. So these are interesting things to look at. The patterns that you choose. It's almost like following a Pied Piper in some cases. Are you in sovereignty with your own self, or are you feeling trapped in notions that really aren't your own, but you know that, and it's become patterns of behavior? Are you open to looking at the smallest of nuances of who you are and seeing if there's places where you can right now, in this very moment right now, make a few small, and I'm talking teeny tiny fractions of a pivot into a new direction. So when we're looking at the idea of forgiveness and letting go, releasing, it's not a drastic move you need to make. What we suggest is that you move into a fractional pivot, and that fractional pivot takes you from one path, and it just is a slight deviation from that path, and then you go in and move forward in that stance, along a new path, new vision, new possibilities. And perhaps by doing that small pivot, you might have left a little bit of that debris that, guess what, might not have even been your own stuff. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. The heart of the matter. I love Don Henley. When I was working with the state affiliate for National Wildlife Federation, Don Henley, I don't know if he was a board member. I know that he was involved with the work that we did in the state of Texas in preservation and conservation in the forest of East Texas. So Don Henley is a good guy. He did a lot of good things for planet Earth, and he still does, I'm sure. So with that being said, we're going to be working for I don't know how long about the heart of the matter, about a forgiveness practice, letting go. Looking at resentments, anything you're holding on to. Be available and be curious. What would it be like if you were able to let go and release? And if that did release out, and there's an empty space there where that was, what might you imagine may fill that space? What would that look like? All right, so you have a most beautiful and blessed day, and let's stay juicy, and let's really focus and vibrate in at that level of the heart. Have a most beautiful and blessed day.